They rarely make the headlines. But when they do, it's rarely about glamour or fashion. It is about legacy, and sometimes fallout. In late September 2025, the resurfacing of a private email from Sarah Ferguson to Jeffrey Epstein ignited a scandal no one in the House of York wanted revisited. The message, sent in 2011, described Epstein as a supreme friend. What followed was swift and damning. Charities distanced themselves from the Duchess of York, public trust soured, and once again the York name was pulled into the vortex of Epstein-related controversy. But for many observers, the most pointed silence wasn't from Sarah Ferguson, it was from her daughters. Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie are not working royals. They receive no public funding, hold no constitutional duties, and have no formal say in the future of the crown. And yet, their lineage, granddaughters of Queen Elizabeth II and daughters of Prince Andrew, ensures that their every move, word, or absence carries the symbolic weight of monarchy. They are often described as on the edge of royal life, close enough to matter, far enough to be excluded when necessary. Their lives are a blend of privilege and performance, balancing private careers with public appearances, charitable work with tabloid scrutiny. But no matter how carefully they tread, their proximity to scandal can prove difficult to escape. Beatrice, the elder of the two, has long sought to carve her own path. Educated at Goldsmiths College and employed in private business sectors, she's been associated with initiatives around education, dyslexia advocacy, and children's well-being. Eugenie, in turn, co-founded an anti-slavery collective and recently spearheaded a global campaign raising awareness about human trafficking in counterfeit fashion. Both sisters are articulate, socially engaged, and increasingly confident in causes beyond the royal fold. Yet, as this most recent scandal made headlines, both women retreated from public view. There were no statements, no clarifying interviews, no social media posts. In the press, their silence became its own subject of analysis. Were they protecting their mother? Distancing themselves? Strategically waiting for the storm to pass? The truth is likely more complex. Royal silence is rarely empty. It's a form of diplomacy, often more calculated than any press release. What makes their current position more fragile is not simply the gravity of the Epstein association, but its timing. The monarchy is undergoing a structural shift. King Charles has long signaled his preference for a streamlined royal family, focused on a handful of senior working members. That model leaves little room for extended branches, particularly those touched by scandal. For Beatrice and Eugenie, the implications are profound. Already, there have been murmurs that their ambitions to take on more formal roles, however modest, are unlikely to advance in the current climate. One is a new mother. The other recently took on a patronage once held by Prince Philip. These were seen by some as quiet steps toward broader royal visibility. But that trajectory now appears paused, if not outright halted. Their public personas have remained largely untouched by controversy, until now. What's difficult is that the scandal isn't their making, it is their inheritance. As daughters of Prince Andrew, they've already seen one royal engagement scaled back, official photos carefully cropped, and ceremonies redesigned. Now, their mother's past connections, though not illegal, may cast a longer shadow than any misstep they themselves have taken. It's a situation without precedent, but not without resonance. The monarchy has always balanced blood with optics, family with image. And for all its tradition, it is a deeply reactive institution. Decisions are often made not by scandal itself, but by how loudly that scandal echoes in public consciousness. Beatrice and Eugenie's efforts to define themselves beyond their surname have not been gone unnoticed. Their work is serious, their cause is urgent, their tone consistently restrained. Eugenie, in particular, has positioned herself as a voice in global human rights spaces. These are not the pursuits of minor aristocrats clinging to titles. They are attempts, perhaps subtle, perhaps strategic, to establish relevance outside the gilded cage of royal life. Still, there are limits to independence when legacy is involved. In royal terms, proximity is permanence. And in public opinion, guilt by association can prove impossible to shake. There is another layer to consider. Their silence in the wake of their mother's controversy could be interpreted as loyalty. After all, Sarah Ferguson raised them largely outside the traditional palace apparatus. She remained close to them as she herself rose and fell. That kind of maternal allegiance, especially in a family defined by emotional restraint, might be difficult to abandon. But it also risks narrative control. If the public only hears whispers, rumors, and leaks, then the sisters' roles become whatever the media or monarchy allows them to be. Without a response, they exist in the gray zone of assumption, neither condemned nor absolved, but slowly displaced. The question now is whether this moment will be a turning point. Will they fade further from public duties, subsumed by the need for royal damage control? Or will they eventually reclaim their place, not as heirs, but as modern royal women navigating a post-Elizabethan order? The answer may depend less on what they do and more on what they inherit. Not just titles, but responsibilities, impressions, and the burdens of name. Beatrice and Eugenie walk a narrow path between scandal and service, tradition and reinvention. They are royal, but not ruling, public, but not prominent. Their futures are not guaranteed, and in the ever-calculating hierarchy of monarchy, association matters as much as action. For now, the sisters remain silent. Their mother is once again at the center of controversy, and the royal family, ever sensitive to perception, is likely watching carefully. What comes next will reveal whether silence is enough, or whether this time, even loyalty cannot shield them from the consequences of history.